Hey, hello. Welcome to episode number 47 of the People We Love podcast. I am Adam Choit. What's up? So this week's something that I love is my area rug right here in the studio. I've posted photos of it before, but it really seems to match the color and decor of this place, and the pattern on it actually looks like sound waves. It's kind of perfect. Anyway, for more about this podcast, check out peoplewelovepodcast.com. That's peoplewelovepodcast.com. And the Instagram handle is People We Love Podcast. And you can find me on Instagram as well, ADAMCHOIT, my name, if you want to follow me too. And remember to tap subscribe or follow on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. And of course, 5-star positive reviews on iTunes are greatly appreciated as well. So, today's guest is young singer-songwriter Geneva May. Originally from the Bay Area, Geneva plays piano, guitar, and ukulele. Today she tells me all about her interesting family and loving Disney stuff as a kid. Geneva has always been a creative type into theater, acting, and even producing later on. But it was in college at Las Positas College where Geneva met two teachers who had profound impact on her. Brekke in the music department and Titian Lish in the theater department. So she tells me all about them today. Oh, and she also performs a beautiful song called Seasons toward the end of this episode. So let's just get into this. Here's Geneva May. So it's good to see you today, Geneva May.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for dropping by the studio. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is going to be really cool.
Yeah, how's your day been?
Okay, well, my friend actually just got her wisdom teeth removed.
I've had that done.
Yeah, no. So this was the first time I've ever taken care of anybody who's gotten their wisdom teeth removed. And so it was funny because I also wasn't expecting like anything too crazy, but I swear to God, it was like that girl was on Molly or something.
So she was knocked out.
She was knocked out.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
You wake up and you're on
and
drugs.
You're all loopy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You don't know what's going on. Did this happen to you when you got yours?
you're exactly.
So when I got my wisdom teeth removed, I was not knocked out. I was like put under a lot of painkillers, but I was awake the whole time. So can you imagine being awake while you're getting your teeth ripped out of your head?
Yeah, I think it all. Well, that doesn't sound fun, but I think when you're a little bit younger, I got them probably taken out when I'm more on the older side.
Okay.
So I think they're bigger. It's more involved. It's more painful. They're more like ingrained in your mouth or whatever. I'm guessing.
I get. So I got mine taken out either late high school or early college.
Yeah.
So I feel like I should have been put under.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't.
Oh man. Well, we'll go from college back to earlier. How about the beginning?
The beginning.
The hospital where you were born and the ride home. Do you remember that at all? Were you born in a hospital? That's what I asked everyone.
I think I was. So the reason why my name is Geneva May is because, my last name is actually Kolkol. So my whole name is Geneva May Kolkol. The reason why I was named that was because on the day I was born in the month of May, my dad got stuck on Geneva Avenue in San Francisco.
Wow.
On the way to the hospital, I guess, during my birth. And for some reason, he was just like, I'm on Geneva Avenue. It is May. Geneva May. And that's
wow.
That's my name, apparently. I think originally my name was supposed to be like Genevieve or something, so it wasn't too far off. But knowing my dad, I knew that he wanted something more unique. Yeah. And so Geneva May was just like pieced together.
And what did your mom was just like, that's cool?
I don't know. My dad was my dad was the one who named all of us. Yeah. So my mom was kind of just like, whatever.
She didn't care.
Yeah, I don't think she did. Yeah.
I would think she would want some say in something like that. I guess she was probably dealing with everything else.
She was also probably put under.
Yeah, she was probably dealing with the birth.
Yeah, the birth itself. And
giving birth and having a child inside of you.
I don't give a crap. Just like, get this kid out of me. You can name them whatever you want. I just don't want to be put through this pain.
So you're from the Bay Area.
From the Bay Area. Born and raised.
Whereabouts?
So I was born in San Francisco, and then when I was a little kid, we did move around a lot. So let's see. So we stayed in San Francisco up until I was about 5. Okay.
Who's we? That's your
so
siblings?
My family. So that included my parents, and then my younger brother, and then my older brother.
Okay. So you're middle child.
So funny enough, we actually have 2 older siblings
Okay.
that were in the Philippines. So basically, to explain my whole family story, my parents met in the Philippines, but they were both like married to different people, and they both had like kids on each side.
Kids, yeah.
So my mom had 3 children. My dad also had 3 children. I don't know who they are on my dad's side. I don't even know their names, but they're there. They exist.
This is some kind of twist on Brady Bunch.
Kind of.
I'm trying to think of what kind of twist. Maybe a more scandalous.
Yeah, I know. It was definitely very scandy. So we're all really close with my mom's side of the family, but I don't know about my dad. So I think, at least from my interpretation, my mom's first husband, I think, had passed away. And then I assume that, I hope this is true, that my dad like left his first family for my mom. So I think, because I know when they had like moved to America, like my dad was still like receiving letters from his first family. It was like, oh, hi, can you like bring us some stuff from America? Like, I guess they were like expecting him to come back, and he never did. So, okay, but that's besides the point.
Well, okay, so.
Well, okay, let me finish the story.
Okay, all right.
The story hasn't ended. So my parents met, and then they had my oldest sister, who is now, I believe, 26 or 27, and she's in the Navy. She's currently based in San Diego. And then they had my oldest brother, who is 23, and he also lives in San Diego. So my sister's name is Dariel, and then my oldest brother's name, his name is Ariel, but with an E, because my dad's name is Ariel, but it's spelled Ariel, like the mermaid, but pronounced Ariel.
Yeah.
So.
Your dad has interesting naming things. It's a different thing for every person. You could be a street. You could just change this spelling
of his own name.
Yeah,
basically. So that's where he got their couple names from. And then my parents decided to move to America because, everybody's like, America is so great. Let's move there. So they think. But I think because due to paperwork, they couldn't bring my siblings with them. So they had to leave my siblings with my grandparents while my parents tried to figure out a way to get them to America. So they left them when my oldest brother was only 6 months old. So they stayed in the Philippines, and then my parents started to build a life here. Then they had my older brother, Franz, who's a year older than me. And his name is actually based off of, I think, my grandmother's name, Francesca. Something about how she had passed away around the same time he was born. So his name's Franz, and then they had me, and then they had my younger brother, who's 19. His name is Hariel. So my dad's name again, but with an H.
That just sounds made up.
I'm not joking. And it's funny when you think about it, because the order that we were born in, it's all alphabetical order. So my oldest sister started with the D, and then it went down to an E, F, G. That's me. And then H.
Was that done on purpose too?
It was done on purpose.
Okay.
It was 100% done on purpose. Because my dad, that was his sibling. So his name is Ariel, and then he had a sister named Brenda, and then the young sister named Claire. And then I think that's it.
You never know what people are going to tell you when they're sitting on that in that chair that you're in, that seat that you're in. I mean, wow. I think what I'm most interested in is as you start to grow up, and when you were 2, 3, 4 years old, when did you start to realize that your family sounds like they might be unique?
Honestly,
you never thought about it.
I never really thought about it.
It was just a reality.
It was just how it was for me, it wasn't, I never really thought about what other people's family stories were like this was just this is normal for me. Growing up, I knew that I had siblings on the other side of the world, and I didn't think it was normal, but I didn't think it was not normal.
It was just your reality.
That was it basically. And so I guess following that, so it was my 2 brothers, or the ones that were native to America, and then my parents. So we stayed in San Francisco up until I was 5, I think it was.
When did you find out that you had that your both and your mom and your dad had other families they both had other kids.
They had other
kids in the Philippines.
Yes.
But they also had their own kids.
Yeah.
In the Philippines.
Yeah.
When did you find out about the other kids? I guess both of those questions. When did you find out you had siblings in the Philippines? And when did you find out you had step siblings?
Half siblings. Yeah. So it was never like news just like laid out on the table. It was never like I was never sat down and be like,
right,
honey, we have a secret to tell you. It was like never anything like that.
Yeah.
It was just like growing up, like I don't remember. And so I think it was just so like I just knew because they had like mentioned it. Or I think like when I was younger, like I would get on phone calls with my siblings, but it was never like a secret. Like my parents, at least so I think for my dad, although we did find them letters in his closet, but it wasn't like shocking. Also, it's just like, oh, this is just, I don't know.
You know, it's just proof that this is real.
Yeah, that this is real. So I was never like shocked, or it was never new news to me that I had like another portion of the family just on the other side of the world.
Were you guys all close, you and the family that lived with you guys, whatever family was in the house where you grew up in?
Yeah, so so my parents, it was a pretty close-knit family. Like we never really talked about like, you know, the mundane things about life, like, oh, what happened in school? Like we kind of just like kept to ourselves, but we liked doing family activities together. My younger brother and I like did not get along growing up like at all, but we're like best friends now. And then my older brother, I think it was like the same way. Like we just didn't really get along-ish. I mean, we all like got along, but like we were annoyed with each other all the time. But that's just like
normal,
it comes with maturity,
course,
exactly.
Yeah, man, yeah, exactly.
But I'm really close to all my siblings now. So basically, like what happened was like it was just us, and then we like moved to Antioch, which is East Bay, and then we stayed there for about 3 years, I think. I think I moved.
And how old were you at that?
I think it was like after second grade, we moved to Pleasanton, which is like a little more east. I guess we just kept going east.
Yeah.
And then in third grade, I was at a new elementary school. And because like it was like so like such an abrupt change, I was like crying all the time. And I
was just gonna say that must have been hard.
It was hard, and I cried all the time. And people called me crybaby at school. I was called the crybaby.
Were you crying at all the different schools, or at this particular school?
It was just this particular school.
It was just, but you had already been moving a lot in the past.
Yeah, I don't know why.
It became too much.
It was just like a thing. Yeah, I just cried a lot, apparently.
And you remember feeling because you were sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then people would make fun of me for it, and it would make me more sad, and I would cry more about it. So it was just like this whole like
cycle
basically. Exactly. And so so I stayed at that elementary school from 3rd to 4th grade, and then I remember meeting like one of my best friends there, like my first best friend. She and I don't really talk anymore, but she was one of those people that I just became really close to throughout like my early education years. Her name's Shakuntala. And we had met in 3rd grade, but befriended each other in 4th grade. And so in 4th grade, that's when we had created like this little performing duo called Sugar and Spice. We were the Sugar and Spice girls, and we would write little songs, and we would make flyers and post them up around the school saying, we're going to have a little concert. We have like a whole choreographed show.
Singing and dancing
in 4th grade. Nobody came to see our show, but that's okay. And we also had the same crush on the same guy, and we both thought like a relationship that we could share a person in a relationship.
Wow, that's very forward thinking for 4th grade.
Yeah. I remember too, in fourth grade, we had to like create our own books, like our own stories. And so my story that I created was us trying to like get into a relationship with this guy.
And we used his real name in the story?
His name, yeah, we used his real name. I used his real name.
Yeah.
His name was James. And at the end of the story, we both ended up with him.
And you wrote that story? Wow. Oh, man. Do you still have that?
Probably somewhere in the storage.
Was it like it was a handwritten,
hand drawn,
yeah.
like
so this is like a physical document,
like
a piece of a project,
yes, exactly.
arts and craft,
oh man,
book report. Can you dig that up? Yeah. I'll post it on social media and tag James. Are you still in touch with that guy?
Dude, no, I haven't seen him like since freaking elementary school.
Yeah.
But his name is James Angst. So if you want to find him, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe
I was in love with him in fourth grade. Yeah, so after fourth grade, we moved even more east. So we moved to Livermore. And then I spent like the last year of my elementary school career at a new school. So that was really weird. But that was the year where I discovered like truly like I was in like little plays and stuff growing up, but that was like the year that I discovered like what performing was like, because I had auditioned for the school musical, which was Honk Jr. about the ugly duckling, and I wanted to be the lead female because of course. And so the lead was a character named Ida, who's the mama duck. And I remember like practicing for so long in like my room, and when auditions did finally come around, I got on stage like in front of all of the other like fifth and fourth graders, in front of the judges or whoever. And I remember standing there and I was just like, I don't know how to dance like a duck.
I thought you practiced.
You know what I did, but then I like got up and I
up.
like froze up and I was like, oh God. And they're just like, it's okay, just like sing something for us. And so I sang whatever song that I needed to sing. And then the next day was when they like were announcing like who got what part, and I was not cast as Ida, unfortunately, but I was cast as a little froglet.
Okay.
And I had a one-liner solo, but I was so happy about it. I was just like, this is my chance. Mama, I made it. You know, I had like one line. I could barely sing it because it was like so out of my range, but it was a fun time. And I really like enjoyed, like, I don't remember too much, but I do remember being like so nervous. Like my heart was like racing every time I was about to sing my one line in the freaking show. But yeah, so that was light. That was, what grade was that? Fifth grade. And then after that,
did you always have an interest in performing and singing? When did you even start getting an interest in that or wanting to?
Apparently, my dad said that I started singing before I could read. So I've always like had like an inclination to be part of the arts somehow. Like I think they just like knew that, but that wasn't something I realized until that moment. Did you just like singing, or did they? Yeah.
And you had talent. You actually were able to carry a tune.
I guess so.
At a fairly young age.
At a fairly young age. Yeah.
And no one else in your family, they weren't artistic or creative, or are they?
So my parents aren't. My dad and my mom both work for the same company, like debt consultation. Yeah. And then. But growing up, my siblings all did have like an interest in some sort of art form. So my sister liked singing, but again, they didn't move to America until I was in fifth grade. So she didn't really have an influence on me, like by that point where I discovered. Yeah. And then my oldest brother was a dancer. And then my other older brother, he like played a couple instruments, and he's like learning like how to hip hop dance now. So but he's more like nerdy and he likes video games. And then my younger brother is kind of like a mix of all of us. So my younger brother is like the most brilliant person I know because he's smart. He's in student government, super talented. Like he writes music, he dances, he's an artist. Like he's like kind of all of the above.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's going to be on the podcast next week if I'm lucky.
Yeah, maybe. But
Is he in LA also?
No, he's still back home with my parents. But he's going to be in LA. I think a couple weekends from now. So if you wanna, I can let him know. But he's cool. My younger brother is really cool, and he even admitted when I was moving to LA, I remember catching him in his room, and he was crying, and I was like, "Are you good, bruh?" And then he was just like, "No, I'm not okay." I'm like, why? And he was on FaceTime with his friend, and this was like, a few days like right before I moved, and his friend was like, he misses you already. And the first thing I said was like, wow, are you high? Yeah. And then my younger brother was just like, no, like I actually miss you. And then he like spilled all his feelings on the table. It's like, you don't understand like how much of an influence like you have on me. Like you're the reason why I like am involved with all of these things. Like if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have discovered performing.
Wow.
I wouldn't. Yeah, so
he's gonna talk about you.
He's gonna talk about
you.
Me.
Wow.
That's
kind of
he loves me, and it's funny because like he's kind of like a little like he has like this little attitude and sass to him about everything, but he truly cares about me, and I it's nice to have like that kind of support and that kind of love for me. And I, of course, for him too, but it's comforting to know that I had this influence on him growing up because how he turned out is like really amazing because he's just so cool. And every time I meet like one of his friends or mentors, they would always be like, oh yeah, he talks about you like all the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. At first, when you said you caught him crying and that you're telling this story on a podcast, I'm like, this brother is going to be pissed off. He's not going to be thrilled with her. But then I think as you kept going and I realized, I think that he's probably pretty happy and that you're saying these kind words.
Yeah, no, he definitely he and I are super close. Like I'm very lucky to have the relationship that I have with my brother because, of course, like all siblings, there are times where we don't get along. Like there are times where we'll argue and times where we'll like flip out at each other. But at the end of the day, like he's always had my back. And there have been times, like numerous times, where I felt like I didn't have anybody for me, basically. But I knew, and sometimes I tend to like maybe take it for granted or overlook it, but I knew that he's always been there. And so, it sucks that we're so far apart because he's my best friend and I do like hanging out with him. But knowing that he's just always there, like it's comforting.
That's cool.
So.
But as far as like performing and singing, what kind of stuff were you into as far as like listening to music, like growing up and even like watching TV shows, movies, theater? What kind of stuff were you into as far as that?
I mean, I guess I could continue with the story. So basically, I entered middle school and that's when I discovered like choir and stuff like that. And at the time, I was a very like Disney-oriented girl. Like I was like, I want to be on the Disney Channel. I wanted to have my own show. I wanted to be like Hannah Montana. Wanted to like sing on my show, like that type of stuff. And so it's funny when people are like, Who did you listen to when you grew up? And I get embarrassed sometimes. I'm like, I was a Disney girl, but it was a good time. I loved Disney. Like, I loved watching, like, Selena Gomez on Wizards of Waverly Place. There was not much singing on that show, but Demi Lovato also had a huge influence on me in terms of, like, music. So I picked up, back then at least, when I was singing, a lot of her, I guess, vocal styling.
Sure.
And so I discovered her when she was on that movie Camp Rock. And then ever since then, I've just been like a huge follower. I remember when my sister and brother did move to America, my sister and I would just like jam out to like Demi Lovato songs and like make videos of us pretending we were like Demi Lovato. So a lot of that, like who else? Demi Lovato was definitely the
What about
one.
the theater, the performing, the acting?
The performing?
What kind of stuff did you like to watch as far as like movies and TV and that kind of thing?
I never really watched a lot of movies and TV
Yeah.
growing up. I mean, if I did watch anything, it was definitely Disney Channel.
Yeah.
I like pre-recorded like every show and every episode on the Disney Channel.
Are you pursuing acting or just music?
So currently just music.
Okay.
But we'll get there because
Okay.
I like bounced around a lot. Like when I was like trying to figure out what
That's
I wanted
okay.
to do.
We're all trying to figure
Yeah.
it out. Oh, believe me.
Yeah. So I discovered choir in middle school. And I was in different ensembles, and I remember auditioning for the talent show like 2 years in a row, and I sang the Demi Lovato stuff, and I did not get in, and my heart was just like broken.
To get into a talent show in
middle school.
How many people were in your middle school?
I don't know.
Like, was it a big school?
It was a big school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Better? I mean,
yeah. I was
can
just
imagine
like,
you were probably pretty good.
I mean, so I thought, but I wasn't good enough to be cast in the talent show. I was broken.
But you know what? Those are the people who, like Michael Jordan gets cut from his high school team.
Yeah,
this and
that's
that,
true. Yeah.
and Tom Brady's picked in the 6th round.
I mean, exactly.
All
And
these
so
stories.
I definitely made a come up in 8th grade when I was in 4 different acts in the talent show. So I thought I was pretty cool. Yeah.
So you were, what were the different things that you're doing in that?
And so in that specific talent show, I had like one solo. I was the closing act. So I sang Price Tag by Jessie J. And then I think I had like a couple duets and then like an ensemble piece or something.
Gotcha.
I don't really remember too well, but I just remember thinking I was like hot shit because I was like, I'm in 4 different acts. Yeah. And so I really liked performing at that point. I entered high school and I went to the same high school all 4 years, so I was not moving around a lot back then. And I still continued with choir, and then I joined like vocal ensemble, so not choir, but the ensembles where everybody else like were on individual microphones, like that type of stuff. Kind of like show choir, but without dancing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you know that singing was or music in some capacity was what you wanted to do and what you want to do with your life?
Yeah.
When did you realize that?
I've always wanted to be like a pop star growing up, but
Always.
I never thought I was good enough to pursue it.
When did you realize that you want to pursue not necessarily pop star, but first music as a career? Or whatever.
Oh, we'll get
either
there.
One, or either
yeah,
one.
we'll get there.
Okay,
yeah,
we're not there.
Yeah, we'll
All
get
right,
there.
all right.
So in sophomore year was when I discovered songwriting. So that's when I truly discovered myself as an individual through music. I like taught myself. I like took like 2 months of piano when I was in like 5th grade, but I never like I just like quit after that. But in sophomore year of high school, I picked up the guitar, the ukulele, and we picked up the piano. And then I started writing. And I remember my songs, like thinking about it now, like were really shit. But back then I was like, I could actually like kind of do this. Like I can like write music. And I remember showing it to my parents and they'd be like, you wrote this? And I was like, yeah, I kind of did. And I remember thinking like that was kind of my crutch. I mean, not clutch, I guess both. My crutch at the time because I was a super shy girl, like back in high school, like so shy. Like
even though you were, but is that I mean that a lot of performers are shy, but were you always shy? Were you shy in middle school and elementary school?
I was shy up until college.
Even though you're like a singer and a performer and like these things, you're still shy.
Yeah. So basically, how that happened was like even through high school, I was kind of like performing at rallies and stuff. But I never like performed any of my own music. I would kind of just like I was that girl who sat on the bleachers with her guitar, just writing music, but never really shared it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would post it on Facebook, but yeah, I was too like afraid to like be vulnerable with myself as
I
like
know
a
all
musician.
about having those,
Yeah.
dilemmas.
Yeah, exactly. And
all artists and some
and
many
so
people.
I don't know. And again, at the time, I still didn't have enough faith that I could pursue this thing. And so when I was leaving high school, I I was going to go to CSU Monterey Bay for sustainable hospitality because I thought that I wanted to own a restaurant.
Where did you go? Where did you say you just went?
So I was supposed to, and when I say supposed to, I mean supposed to. Like I had plans to go to CSU Monterey Bay, so I was already like registered. I already went to orientation.
And that's a business.
It's a college.
It's a college.
Yeah, so a college, state college, and I was gonna go for hospitality. And I already had like my dorm. I visited my dorm. I met like my roommates.
That's like restaurant management kind of stuff. Okay,
or like hotel stuff. And so I wanted to be like, I don't know. I thought I was interested in it. And like even now, like most of my jobs were in the food service industry. So it's just like it wasn't much of a surprise to me when I was like, okay, I could do hospitality. I was thinking more like resort stuff. So I think like Disney. Or like even Hawaii, like that type of.
I could see it.
Yeah. But like literally 2 weeks before I was supposed to start attending my school, like my dad was just like, "You're not ready. Like we're not letting you go." So yeah,
you're not letting you go to school?
To college, to CSU Monterey Bay.
And isn't that nearby where you?
It was like 2 hours off.
And he said, "We're not letting you go."
Yeah, we're not letting you go. I think
it doesn't. Yeah, I'll let you explain.
I think it was like a money thing, just because my parents weren't like super well off. They have 5 kids, so can you imagine like trying to pay college for all 5 kids? And so I think they wanted me to be able to live a college experience, but they just couldn't support me. And so like basically my dad had decided without me even without me getting a say, that I just wasn't going to a 4-year anymore. And that like completely broke my heart because I was so ready to leave the house, like so ready. Like
oh my God, that's awful.
Yeah, and my parents and I never really we never had like a bad relationship, but I just didn't get along with them, so I was just like ready to go. And so to hear that I had to stay with my parents, like
it's devastating.
Oh, my heart was broken.
Yeah, people. There's bigger problems in the world, but it's still that's
my hopes were like destroyed.
Yeah,
but I think about it now, and it was probably one of the best decisions that could have been made for me, because if it weren't for that decision, I wouldn't have gone to Las Positas College, rediscovered the arts again, and truly like blossomed. So that's where I ended up like breaking out of my shell. So basically how that happened was I went to Las Positas first semester. I like took a semester off from college, and then I started there in the spring, and I was still studying business. And then I remember sitting in the cafe, and this guy in my English class who had sat next to me saw me, and he was just like, "Hey, can I join you?" And then his 2 brothers came up who were both in theater. So I had met them, I had met their friends, and at basically that point was when I was like adopted into like the theater group. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, let me try it out.
Did they know you were interested in theater, or that's just a coincidence?
So at the time I was in vocal jazz. I was in the vocal jazz ensemble, but I think like they knew because I had like an interest in music. Yeah. They're just like, oh, you should just like hang out with us. And so I did. And then I ended up like starting to take like a few theater classes, and then by the end of the semester I was like head deep like into theater, and I had like my group of friends, but I was still majoring in business. And then one night, I remember this so vividly,
this is all freshman year?
All freshman year. Yeah. We were sitting at IHOP like after a show, and we were talking about like life, I guess, like everybody else does. Yeah. And one of the guys was just like, you know, he was like, Geneva, like, you're taking so many performance classes, and we could see the life that it brings to you on stage. Like, why the hell are you majoring in business? And then at that point, I was like, fuck, dude. Like, honestly, I don't know. And it's because of that fear component. Like, sure. I was just like, I was too afraid to pursue it. But then being in that group, being at that school, and then being surrounded by all these people who are pursuing something that they were passionate about, I realized, and I was just like, why can't I do that too? And then that following semester, I changed my major to theater. And then that's when I was just like, those 2 years that I was in college at that school, I was just like, we're doing it. We're getting at it. And so I was like, I auditioned for like every show, got into like every show. I was like cast a lot.
That's exciting.
I was like a few leads. Like, are you familiar with Heathers?
I don't believe so.
It's like an 80s movie with Winona Ryder. So there was a musical and I was like one of the Heathers. So it was like a pretty big deal. And I was like in every single performance thing that I could possibly think of when it came to like Las Positas. I was in vocal jazz for the 3 years that I was there. Like I was president of performing arts.
So it was a 3-year school?
I was there for 3 years because of the whole business thing. I had to like start over.
Yeah, because you needed the credits.
Yeah.
And did you have you had a drama teacher there as well? That was had an impact on you?
Yes, I had a drama and a music teacher.
Right.
So it was cool because this is a flex, I guess, but people definitely, and those professors specifically looked at me like as the face of the performing arts, like as like an idol student, I guess, because I was involved in both departments. And
the both departments were both within the same arts school, or within the same building,
I guess you could say. And so my music teacher, my music professor, his name was Brekke, and so he was like the first professor that I've ever gotten close with. He was there since the beginning and since I left, and basically he was the one that helped me realize like what it meant to like share your art and not be nervous about it. Because I remember this one time, like we were all like so nervous to like go on stage, and he gave this speech before every single performance, and he was just like, just be a vessel, like be a vessel for your music to travel through. Because at the end of the day, like it's not about you, it's not about them, it's about the music, and that's what we're here to do. And so ever since that speech, and I remember it because like there was like piano playing in the background, and it was like this whole dramatic moment, but ever since then, like I realized like I am a vessel for art to travel through and just to share like stories to other people, because at the end of the day, like we shouldn't be worried about us. Like we should only be focused on the art and making like beautiful art. And so Brekke, like he was always so like, I loved his entire demeanor because he was just such a calm, collected person. And he knew how to discipline his students like very, very well. Like he treated his classes, I guess, as if like it was a job. So like he was our manager and we had to like, you know, follow suit like it was like an actual like career. All of the professors like wanted to train their students for the real world, basically.
That's great.
Yeah, no,
you don't get that everywhere.
No,
you go.
You don't. And you get professors who like don't give a shit about what they're teaching, or people who are lazy. But the professors that I had, both Ian and Titian Lish, who was the drama teacher and the head of the performing arts, like they were very passionate. Like they taught me what it was like to be passionate about what you do. And so I had Ian, and then I had Titian, who was like the opposite end of the spectrum. So Ian's like super calm, cool, like cool guy, like
the music guy.
Yeah. And then Titian was like,
the theater teacher.
Yeah, the theater teacher.
Yeah, this all makes sense.
And she was wild, but she was a person that I looked up to. She was the type of person that I wanted to be because of like, she knew how to establish her authority, like as a figure, like in the performing arts. And she just like had such a confidence and such like conviction in her art that I just like wanted to be just like her. And so it's cool because I know that they both have seen me grow from like this shy, timid girl to this woman basically who's just making things happen for herself. And like it goes to show just like work ethic, basically. I think they really helped me build up like what that was for me. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, there have definitely been times where I've disappointed both of them, but I think the thing that I appreciate most is that they're forgiving. I mean, they know that we're in school for a reason, that we're there to learn, and there will be times where we will fall and fuck up, but they're there to help guide us and to like lift us back up when we need it. And I think like there have been numerous times, well, I wouldn't say numerous, but a couple times where I would just be like going through hell. And I hated talking about like my issues or problems with people and especially professors, but they created such a safe space at that school where I felt like I could just go into the office and
were you talking to them about personal problems or like academic things or both?
Like all of the above.
Yeah.
Like especially
some things
like,
times they bleed into each other.
Yeah, exactly. And so they understood it. And like, of course, like when you disappoint someone that you care about, who cares about you, they'll be mad at you. And, you know, sometimes the way that they handle the situation might not be the way that you would like. Because I've definitely done like stupid shit or things that just I wasn't aware of that like made them angry. But at the end of the day, like as long as you can prove that you can bounce back, like they'll always be there. And so, excuse me, I'm burping. But yeah, that's something like it's cool. It's cool because they still follow like what I'm doing now, even though I'm like no longer at that school. And to have them like comment on, you know, posts and be like, so proud of you, like so proud of you and like how far you've gotten. And so just that type of support, I think, is essential to a person's growth, like especially a young person.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people I've talked to who've sat there where you are is they talk about like the mentor or teacher, like finding that balance between like teaching them discipline and being, you know, somewhat tough on them, but also like showing that you care and that you're a person too, and that you guys can, you know, even be friends to some degree.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
Have fun together.
Yeah,
but also like one person is the mentor and teacher.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think out of like anybody in the world, like if I wanted to be anybody, I would love to be a fusion of Titian and Ian. Like to have like the ruthlessness and like just the confidence and conviction like Titian does, but to have like the cool passion and like collectedness of Ian. Like if I could be that person, then I would know that I would have gotten where I wanted to be, like as a person. Maybe not.
I think you might be doing it.
You think so?
I think you maybe.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I'm just thinking the way you know, knowing you a short while and the way you kind of carry yourself, and, and hearing about these stories about them. I think it's possible, and just the fact that you think about if you're thinking this way, if you're just thinking about this, and this is not the first time you've had these thoughts and articulated these thoughts in your mind. I think you're probably, at the very least, subconsciously working your way towards being that way.
I mean, I hope so. Don't get me wrong. There have been times where I like feel like I am that way, like especially in terms of like specific jobs. For example, I was running a film festival up in San Francisco, and I, you know, of course, like as a female in the film industry, I have to establish like a sort of authority.
Right.
And so I remember like feeling like hot shit, and I'm like, I wonder if this is how Titian feels, you know? But being able to kind of just like establish like this is what needs to get done. This is what needs to be done, basically. And just being able to carry myself in such a way, like I look up to them and I think about them, like they're kind of always like in the back of my head, like, okay, how do I want to handle this situation? Like what type of I guess demeanor do I want to be displaying right now? And then I think about like them, and I'm like, okay, well that worked for them. You know?
What would WWTL and WWIB?
Yeah.
Like you'd have one bracelet on each of you.
Exactly.
On each of your hands there.
Yeah. And so funny enough, like I do not have any tattoos, but the few ideas that I have tattoos are influenced by both of them. So one of them, I want to just get the word vessel like somewhere on my body because of Ian, and like just remembrance that to be a vessel for my art. And then another one is a candlestick, because there is this play that I was cast in called Arcadia. It's a Tom Stoppard play, and it's one of Titian's favorite plays. And we were originally going to do Hamlet, but we were all in love with the idea of Arcadia. And basically, it's a very complicated story, so I don't know if I'm going to get too much into it. But there's a symbol like in the show that's candlestick, basically. And it was the thing that like guided but ended up killing my character.
Interesting.
You know, and she when Titian was younger, she played the same character I was cast in. So I just think it was kind of cool for her to be in the director's seat and for me to kind of like live what she did when she was my age. And so I think getting like a candlestick
so you got the candle from her, and then you got the
word vessel.
Wow, I didn't even know that you'd expect to have this sort of like depth to the relationship and history with them.
You know, and honestly, like I think about it, and I don't think they know that either. Like I do not, like I 100% believe that they don't know how much of an influence they actually
they'll
had
appreciate
on
this.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Like, I mean, hey, Titian and Ian, if you're listening to this, I miss you guys. I love you so much. Thank you for everything. But yeah, so yeah, I don't think that they know. But
Well, they know now. What about after college? Did you head straight to LA or?
Yeah, so basically, college, or my time at that college basically like came to an end. I was still like taking classes, but I was like, you know, I was done. I got like my degree basically in theater. And I wanted to get like a music certificate or like another degree in music, but I was just like, this is too much work. Like I just want to work basically. Yeah. And so after I was like doing all these shows, I transitioned over to film acting, and I was still doing theater at Las Positas, but I was like dipping my toes in film acting, and I really liked it. And then I was like, let me like put a team together for this film competition, and that was called the 48-Hour Film Project.
Yeah, I think I've heard of those kinds of festivals. So.
Yeah, and so basically, for those of you that don't know, the 48-Hour Film Project is one of the largest like timed film competitions in the world, where teams get together to create a short film in 48 hours, and this includes a given line of dialogue, character, prop, and then a random genre. And so I remember auditioning for a team in 2017, and I was cast as like an actress, and we got drama, and we ended up winning Best Directing. And then the next year, I was like, well, I want to be involved, but let me put a team together, like with a friend. And that friend ended up not being involved. So it was like kind of like my own thing. And basically, I put a team together. I got like a director, like a DP, like all of the above, like casted all the actors. And we ended up winning.
Whoa.
Yeah. We ended up winning. And so this is crazy. Wait for it, because it gets better. And so we ended up winning, and like to think like at the age of what? I think I was like 21.
Wow.
I won. And it was cool because I was like the team leader. Like I was like the person.
And you shot this in
2 days.
In the Bay
Area, yeah. And so our genre was sci-fi. But we were like, okay, like, well, how the hell are we going to make a sci-fi movie in 2 days? Yeah. So we kept it simple. So it was a mockumentary about the first genetically engineered kid, basically. And so it was just us interviewing this guy, his experience as like an artificial person, and then his loved ones. And I guess like it touched like the judges or whatever so much. Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
And it was a very
creative.
cute, put together well, like little mockumentary. And so we ended up winning, and then so we ended up winning in like August 2018.
And that's a national. Is that a national sort of competition?
It's an international
competition. Yeah, because they just blast out the topic, whatever, and then it's if you can submit a thing online within. Yeah. By the due date.
Well, so basically how it works is the competition is held in about 180 cities around the world. So we won San Francisco.
Okay.
And then we went to Orlando in March to kind of like compete for head title. We didn't win, but it was like such a cool experience because we got to meet like literally everybody from around the world. And so I felt like I built like such a huge network and getting to see other people's films and their twists on what they did. And just, it was just like the coolest thing to represent San Francisco because it's a city that everybody knows.
Sure.
Like I've met people from like Asheville, you know, I'm like, well, where the heck is Asheville?
North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean,
I happen to know.
You happen to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just like random cities, but like San Francisco is such a major city. And so whenever I was just like, I'm representing San Francisco, people would be like, San Francisco. And it was just like the coolest thing. It's as if like meeting like a representative from LA or New York or like Paris.
Like a congresswoman.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm hot shit. So I came back and then I had got an email that the city producer position opened up for the San Francisco division of the 48-hour film project. So this is the person that's in charge of the entire festival in San Francisco. So I had applied and I was hired. So yeah, it was like kind of crazy to see like myself like making my way up like this ladder of the 48-hour film project from like just an actress on a team to like a team leader to the city producer.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it was kind of wild and I was not expecting it because I'm still very young, only 22. But I was able, like, it was definitely the most stressful time of my life.
You were the director?
The city producer.
The city producer for the
film festival.
For the film festival, for the 48-hour film festival for
San Francisco.
And your film was going to be in this, shown at this?
No. So we showed it at like one of the mixers, but I was like, this was like the new, I guess you could say, season.
Okay.
Because it's like a yearly competition. So I was in charge of recruiting team members, basically like setting up all of the mixers, securing all of the venues for all of the events, managing like the festival itself, the awards ceremony, getting the sponsors, press releases, social media. That was all me.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like the host of everything too.
Wow.
So you can imagine as a 22-year-old, like that shit was hard. Okay, like there have been times,
I don't want to do it now. I don't think I can.
Yeah, no, there have definitely been times where I was like rotting my brain over like this whole thing. Like that's over 500 filmmakers I have to like look after, and so I remember sitting in my room having to go through all the paperwork, 7 to 8 hours of just sitting, going through paperwork straight. I did not eat. I did not get up to go to the bathroom. Wow. I was like, I need to get this shit done because this shit's tearing me apart.
Wow.
And so like at the end of the day, like although the work was extenuous and I wish I had extra help, and I'm hoping that this upcoming year, if I decide to continue with it, that I could get like an associate producer to split the work with me. Yeah. It was by far one of the most fulfilling experiences I could have ever possibly had in terms of like the art, because getting to provide like this opportunity for people around the Bay Area, like whether they were amateurs or seasoned professionals, just so they can create something that they can be passionate about. Like I was able to open that door for them, just how that door was open for me when I was first starting in film.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so it was like the coolest thing, like getting to like be there during the film festival and seeing like feeling the type of energy that people had when they're like sitting in the chairs, like about to watch a film. I'm like, yo, like I know exactly like how you feel. Like this is exciting. Like you get butterflies, like the adrenaline. And then the awards ceremony, I swear to God, I was going to cry because I had to be the person to like announce the winners. Okay, so I was the one like, and the winner of blah, 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 blah is, you know, and to see like these people like come up and to give their speech and explain like how awesome this opportunity was for them. Like I like straight up like almost cried every single time because
it made your time and efforts worth it.
100%. There was this one filmmaker who was just like, I participated in this competition for 4 years and this was the first time I've ever won anything. And then like this other guy was just like, he got like an honorable mention and he made a whole documentary of his experience of the 48-hour film project. And he was just like, this has been by far like one of the best experiences. And to know that I'm being held at like such a high caliber, like with the rest of you guys, is just like out of my mind. And I was just like, oh my God, like trying to hold all my emotion like during this whole time. And then to see just like how excited the winners were to have won. And I was just like, I know that feeling. So the fact that I could be on the other side, like experiencing that and seeing that happen for other people and making that happen for other people is so cool.
Yeah.
And so like, I think I do want to continue. So that's the issue that I have right now is because like I want to continue with it, but I don't know if I want to continue with it.
With
the 48.
With the 40. Oh yeah, just work with that. What about acting?
So acting, I kind of was like whatever about. It was like, it's funny because I am a theater major, and then I have film and media BA with Arizona State University. But my main thing was like theater, but I just like don't have really an interest in it anymore. I think at the time I really wanted to pursue acting, like when I was in college, but then I was doing this whole film festival thing, and I had more of an interest in production.
Yeah, it sounds like you want to be a musician / film producer.
Yeah,
or something.
I definitely that's like where my head is at right now. But I think like the only issue that I had with the 48 hour was because like I was the one producing it, and they don't give us a budget. They don't give us any like sort of expenses to spend. So everything that I had to like, everything was out of pocket for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you even make that happen as a 21, 22-year-old, whatever?
You just become broke as hell. Yeah, I was like literally like I did not know whether I was going to move to LA.
Do they reimburse you?
No. So I got my money through the ticket sales. But
I see.
The thing is, it's like the venue itself was $3,000.
Wow.
And I did not have that money. So HQ had to pay for it, but I had to like pay them back through like what I got in the ticket sales. It's kind of dumb, but like it's, you know, it's whatever. But it was like, I still wouldn't take back my experience. But that's the thing. Like, I don't know if I want to be able to do it because I love it so much. Like, it's worth all the work. Like, it's worth like literally anything, but it's just like, I don't know where I'm going to be at in terms of my expenses when that time comes around. Maybe I'll start a GoFundMe. I don't know. That's weird. Or maybe I just need to like reach out to more sponsors and be like, hey man, like I'm a 22-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, this is pretty cool for a 22-year-old. Like, back me up, you know? But that's why I'm like struggling between, because they want to know now whether I'm going back, but I don't want to have to make that decision right now because I love it so much. And like I tell myself, I'm like, this is like what I want to do in terms of like career wise, like
maybe
for the
there's
rest
something
of my
that
life.
you could do for them that's like less not running it, maybe just be in charge of sponsors. Just be in charge of, just put you in charge of sponsors, not everything.
Yeah, no, I think like the event management part was definitely my favorite. Like being the face and like being the host, I think is definitely my favorite. I did have like a production assistant throughout that entire time, and his name is Sebastian. And I told him to consider applying as my associate producer for this upcoming year, because then that way we could like split the work, and I could put him in charge of like the sponsors, the press release kits, social media and stuff, and I could take care of like venues and like event management and all of that stuff. But it's also still like the money thing. Like, if I end up getting like a theater that's like $3,000, like how in the heck am I going to afford that? You know, because I would not make any money, because the ticket sales it's ultimately supposed to go to me. But the fact that I had to split it and give the rest back to HQ because they had taken care of the venue. So I think, that's the issue. Like getting sponsors is not that difficult. Getting venue sponsors is just a little bit more difficult, because it's like, what's in it for them? You know? Like, they can literally get like anybody else to screen their films at their theater. And so it's like, why is this such an important thing for the film community of the Bay Area, and why it benefits the theater itself? And so that's something that I need to like flesh out if I'm going to continue with this. But see, that's the thing. I don't know if I'm going to continue with it because I have no money.
Yeah. Well, let's talk music.
All right.
So when did you get to LA?
So I moved on September 21st. So I moved on September 21st. And so like throughout the whole time that I was doing theater, film and stuff, blah, 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 I was still doing music. I was still writing a lot. I was still like covering songs and stuff. And I always had the intention to make more music. But because I was so wrapped up in like theater and film, I just never had enough time to invest to make more music. And so basically, like, I had like this pull in my chest, and I'm like, you need to make more music. Like, you need to do music. But I was so caught in like film and theater. And so when I moved to LA, my intention was to continue pursuing film. And during the first week I was here, I had like this whole like epiphany basically. And I'm like, at the end of the day, I love theater, I love film, but the thing that makes me most me is my music, is my stories that I tell through my music. And so I was like, okay, screw theater and film, basically left my foundation and everything that I've built for myself in San Francisco to start all over and to try and do music here in Los Angeles, which is so crazy.
But you didn't make that decision until I moved to LA.
Until I moved, until I came here. And then I realized like I want to do music. I would like go on social media, or I would like listen to other artists, and I'm like, I can make this shit happen.
Follow that inner compass.
Yeah, if I just gave myself the time to. And so ever since I've been in LA, I haven't touched anything film related or theater related. It was all
no producing, no acting,
no
nothing,
producing, no acting, no auditions for anything, like none of the above. And I just like, as soon as I realized like that music was, I remember because the first week I had a meeting with a couple like music producers I was working on a song with, and I had this same conversation, and I was just like, I just don't know what to do, because I feel like I have like so many puddles I could like dip my toes in, I guess, but I just like don't know. And then basically they're just like, just show up, just show up and pick one thing and just show up.
Yeah.
And like if that thing doesn't work out for a year, then you have like everything else to fall back on. But also like don't give yourself that option to fall back on. Like if this is the thing that you're meant to do, if this is the thing that you want to do, just like freaking do it.
Yeah, and if you want to change your mind later,
your mind later. And it's totally okay to change your mind too. But right now, and even through all of that, like throughout these last 4 or 5 years I was doing all of this, like I still wanted to do music. And so when I finally came here, I was like, okay, no distractions. I'm just going to fucking do it. And so ever since I've been down here, I've just been trying to go to as many open mics as possible, try to collaborate as much, try to be in the studio as much, try to sesh as much. And it's going pretty well. I was able to release a song about a few weeks ago on Spotify.
It's awesome.
It has close to like 6,500 plays, and I have like close to 4,000 monthly listeners now,
nice.
Which is like kind of weird.
There you go.
But it was all through my producer, so I kind of like want to see what it's still like my song, but I still like want to see how my sound develops and how much like traction I could get on like the sound that I do end up finding. And so but every single open mic or music event that I've gone to, I've always just made like a specific connection. And then I realized like this industry is about like who you know. Of course, like you gotta be good somehow in some way. But the fact that I think what is
show up.
Exactly. And I think the thing that's fulfilling me right now is the fact that I'm meeting like all these people who just like want to work with me, who are like interested in working with me, or people who like my music and want to create with me. And I think like that's so cool, because that's helping me build the conviction that I can do this. And like even though I'm just starting and I'm like nowhere close at all to like what other people are doing, it's like cool enough to say that I can call myself like a musician and not feel weird about that. Because, back then I would be like, yeah, I like dabble in music. Yeah. But it was like such a weird thing to say that I only dabbled in music, when in reality, like music is where my passion lays. But now I could be like, oh, what do you do? I'm a singer-songwriter. Like I perform. Like this is what I do. Filmmaker is kind of like a subtitle.
Yeah.
Because I still like creating films and still like doing the production elements of it. But, I'm taking a break from it just to focus on my one true love, to focus on my first love, and that's music.
What is the long-term goal or dream with the music? Is there just to write songs and perform? Is that what it is? Or is it, do you want to win awards? Do you want to have world tours? Do you want to be a pop star? Or you just want to work and share your art with the world? Is it all of the above? What are the goals and dreams?
I think right now if I could like get to the point where I'm touring, like maybe not necessarily like Grammy Award, like I'm not trying to be like on the radio, but if I have like enough traction on Spotify where I can be touring and just like go around the world, like sharing my music at like, whether it's small venues or big, I'm not looking to sell out stadiums.
Right.
I don't.
You want to manage your expectations.
Yes,
well.
exactly. I don't see myself selling out stadiums. I see myself maybe playing shows at like smaller venues. I don't know the venues here in Los Angeles, but if I'm thinking like San Francisco venues, for those of you that might know, maybe something like the Fillmore or not Bill Graham because that's way too big, but the Fillmore is like a good size.
Theaters.
Yeah.
So you love theater. You're just going to be performing music in
yeah, exactly.
Speaking of, do you want to play a song and sing a song?
Yeah, I guess so. Let's do it. So this song is a song that I wrote about a year ago. And it's actually a song that I wrote about myself to myself. And it revolves around the idea of change and just how like the seasons change and the weather changes, people do too. And so I had written this in a time where I didn't want to be who I was, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to be or who I wanted to be. And I guess this comes in terms of like basically everything, whether it was like my career or just me as a person. And so I wrote like this little sad, like bittersweet, kind of like a love song to myself. And it's called Seasons. And yeah. Pavement in smoky haze, coffee pavement in rainy days. There's something about the season, there's something about the reason I feel this way. Pumpkin lattes and sunset leaves, bitter heartbreak and sweet melodies. There's something about the weather, there's something about your sweater you left with me. Summer decided to change its mind, but when you did the same, you thought that I wouldn't fall during the fall, but that was all I did. So autumn came by and I realized that the heat that we had, it burned out and died. And now the cold is out. Don't want this winter to come without you. Umbrellas and thin raincoats, I've been hella sad, words caught in my throat. There's something about the lightning, there's something that I'm fighting on my own. No, maple muffins and naked trees, my feelings got me bad on how we used to be. There's something about the thunder, and I am going under. I need a remedy. Summer decided to change its mind, but when you did the same, you thought that I won't fall during the fall. That was all I did. So autumn came by and I realized that the heat that we had, it burned out and died. And now the cold is out. Don't want this winter to come without you. Without you. Don't want this winter to come without you. Christmas string lights and snowed in days, although they were not here. I'm doing okay. There's something about the season. There's something about the reason I feel this way.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
Great job singing, guitar, all that.
Thank you.
That was great.
Thank you.
When did you write that?
A year ago.
A year ago.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate you stopping by the studio for sure.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell people where they can find you on the social media, follow you?
Yes.
The floor is yours.
Yes. So I am on Instagram. That's like the only social media I use. So that is at Geneva May _. So that is GenevaMay _. And then I'm on Spotify too. That's just Geneva May with a space in the middle. But yeah.
Cool.
That's it. Thank you for having me. This was super fun.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh my
I appreciate
God,
the
that's
time.
so awesome.
Thanks
Yeah.
for dropping by the studio, and I'm looking forward to more music, seeing you perform soon, and putting this out and sharing it with everyone.
Yes.
You got it. Talk soon.
Bye.
So there you have it. My conversation with Geneva May. That was a lot of fun, and I truly look forward to following Geneva's career, and I look forward to all of her music. And I just want to say that I'm glad that I never had Ian Brekke or Titian Lish as my teachers, because they sound too tough. Anyway, for everything about this show, of course, head to peoplewelovepodcast.com. And I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you guys listening. Thanks as always, and let's talk soon. Peace.